Let's begin with a fresh module. So in the previous class, we had a discussion on engine testing and certification. That was the last topic related to the fifth module as per our syllabus. And there was only one chapter, one unit left in this particular subject, that is module number 2. So which will begin today. So in this particular module number 2, we will be discussing more on materials and manufacturing, specific manufacturing techniques, and some systems related to engines. So when we say these general topics, materials and manufacturing, in that we'll going to discuss in detail about criteria for selection of materials, on what basis we select the materials for gas turbine engines, that we are going to discuss. Then the heat ranges of metals. Now the specific metals what we use in engines, what are the heat ranges and why exactly that particular heat range we are looking for in that particular material. So that we will be discussing. Then high temperature strength, that is nothing but the strength of a particular metal or particular material when it is exposed to high temperature. What will be its behavior, that will be studying. And then surface finishing of a given any component and why it is so important surface finishing is, so that we will be discussing. Then powder metallurgy, that's one of the manufacturing technique for a gas turbine engine. So where exactly we look for a powder metallurgy and why exactly. Then use of composites and ceramic materials. As we know, this engine is nothing but a power plant of a aircraft. Now that is exposed to very high temperature, but still we are looking for some composite materials there. Now what will be the reason, what are the types of composites, as well as the ceramic materials we will be discussing here. And after that, the super alloys for turbines, specifically the gas turbine engine turbine section which is exposed to very high temperature, why exactly the super alloys are required and what are the properties of those super alloys, that will be discussing. So this is purely on materials. Then the second part of this module will be consisting of systems, in which fuel systems and its components will be discussing. How exactly the fuel system functions, that will be discussed in detail. Then which are the types of sensors used in fuel systems, then how exactly we control that, what exactly a FedEx system, how we have the interface between the FedEx system and the working of an engine, that will be discussing. Then typical fuel system, oil system and their components, that is discussed. And again the starting of a engine or starting system will be discussed based on its characteristics. And there are various types of starters in gas turbine engine, so that will be discussed in detail. So this is again more on the theoretical module. We don't have any numericals on this, but discussing the each and every parameter in this particular module is very helpful in selecting the material, as well as having a good understanding about the systems what we use to engine. Now let us move with the first topic of this module, criteria for selection of materials. Now let us look one by one what are the different criteria, and also with respect to the different components of a gas turbine engine. Let me recall, we are just talking about the major component of a gas turbine engine, starting with inlet, compressor, combustor, turbine, nozzle, spool, nothing but the shaft which connects turbine and compressor. So only these parts, only these components we will be discussing, not in detail, not the sub-components like turbine blade, turbine hub or compressor hub and compressor blades, those in detail we will not be discussing, not about the nozzle guide vanes or the rotor blades, not in detail. It is just overall we will be looking for, whereas you can find all those details in the prescribed textbook which is there in your syllabus copy. Okay, so we'll begin. The first one, criteria for selection of materials. The first one is strength. So strength is as you have already studied in your course mechanics of materials. So strength is a property of a material which defines how much load it can bear or how much load it can withstand. So when we talk about strength, again it is categorized into two types. One is creep strength, another one is rupture strength. As you know, creep is nothing but it is a combination of both thermal as well as mechanical load with respect to time. Now that leads to creep, nothing but a type of failure. Now the strength against that particular failure is nothing but creep strength. Similarly, the rupture strength. Now when we say, let us consider the first one, the inlet or the cowling of a gas turbine engine. Now if there is any external impact Okay, not necessarily the bird strike. It can be anything. Maybe during maintenance process, if there is a small impact, then that shouldn't change the shape of that particular cowling, that particular shape of that particular engine cowling. So it should have a good strength for that. Similarly, when we say creep, there are few components which are exposed to very high temperature, and the temperature is keep on varying based on the condition of an engine, whether it is in on condition or off condition or higher thrust level condition or just cruise condition. Based on this, the temperature will keep on changing inside the engine, and because of this, the combustor as well as the turbine section and nozzle section, if there is an afterburner, then again the afterburner section, in this part the temperature will be varying continuously. And when we look particularly the turbine section, there will be continuous centrifugal force acting, so continuous mechanical forces, mechanical loads are acting parallel to the thermal load. So the strength of those particular part of a gas turbine engine needs to be very high. So that is nothing but creep strength. Similarly, the rupture strength. Suppose if there is a hot spot in a combustor because of deposition of unburnt fuel or deposition of fuel, if in general case. Now, if the load is very high, then that will lead to load in the sense if the heat is very high, then at that particular part of a combustor, that will become a hot spot that will rupture that particular part. Okay, so the material should have higher strength, that is rupture strength. That's just an example. Similarly, we can apply all this to each and every components of a gas turbine engine. Then ductility. Why we are looking for ductility? We are looking for strength, but second topic just turned out to be ductility. Now, when we talk about ductility, it is for machining purpose. Like if you want to give a proper shape or a particular design, if you want to follow for fabrication, then the material should be ductile. If it is brittle, then you cannot give a proper shape. So it will break. In that case, the ductility plays a major role. For example, if you look at the turbine blades or a compressor blades, at the root and at the tip, not necessarily the angle should be the same. It is keep on changing so that the flow suppression is not attained there. Flow suppression is avoided. For that, they keep on changing the angle from the root to the tip. And if the material what we use for those blades, if it is brittle, then it will be very difficult to give proper shape, or we need to use some other manufacturing techniques that will lead to some other problems. Maybe surface finish may not be good. So in all these aspects, ductility of that particular material plays a major role. So that's the second point for selecting a material. First one, to select the material for gas turbine component, we need to have a material with good strength. Strength in the sense it should have strength with creep and rupture strength. And second one is ductility, which is purely for the machining process or to give a proper shape to that particular component. Next is coefficient of expansion. It is nothing but coefficient of thermal expansion, we can say. So what actually happens when the engine is in off condition? All the components of a gas turbine engine are at ambient condition. Whatever ambient they are exposed to, they will be having the same temperature. Now suddenly if you increase the temperature by starting an engine, burning the fuel, combusting the fuel, then the temperature will increase. As the temperature increases, the behavior of the material will vary. There will be almost all the material what we use in gas turbines engines, specifically gas turbine engines, they have good thermal coefficient of expansion. So if the coefficient of expansion is large, then we should give a good tolerance such that one component will not intersect the area of the other component, or one component will not enlarge or stretch itself due to thermal expansion and change the design altogether. So there has to be a small thermal expansion, but not beyond certain region. If it is beyond that, then the tolerance which need to maintain in that particular zone for various temperature ranges will vary, and it will become a huge tolerance. If the tolerance is more, then the efficiency will drop down because the design has to be changed. Okay, so thermal expansion plays a major role. Yes, we need to have a thermal expansion, but not beyond certain points, certain limits. Then thermal conductivity. Now what exactly is a thermal conductivity? So it is, thermal conductivity is nothing but every material has some properties to transfer the heat from one location of its part to the another location. Maybe in better way we can say from a higher temperature region to lower temperature region, it transmits the heat, and that is possible when the particular material is a conductor, a heat conductor. So that's what define its conductivity, means at what rate it is going to transfer that heat. Okay, whether it is going to transfer slowly or quickly. So it depends. Now that is nothing but thermal conductivity. Now why it is important? For example, if you are combusting fuel in a gas turbine combustor or an afterburner section, then it is exposed to turbine section or nozzle section, then the materials what we use in the turbine or combustor or afterburner, if they are continuously exposed to such a high temperature and there is no cooling methods used properly, or if the cooling method is used but the material what we have there doesn't have a good thermal conductivity, means one surface which is exposed to high temperature will always be exposed to high temperature, whereas other surface of the same component, if that is exposed to cooling methods, then the heat which has to be transferred will not happen properly. So the material what we use for that particular component should have a good thermal conductivity, so that the heat will transfer from higher temperature region to the lower temperature region, and similarly the cooling process will begin, and because of this cooling process the life of that particular component will increase. If it doesn't do a proper cooling process, then because of continuous thermal load the material will lose its life. So that's why we need a good thermal conductivity in a material. Then corrosion and oxidation resistance. Now when we say gas turbine engine components, definitely all of the components are exposed to air. Now when there are few materials, not all, very few materials in a gas turbine engine, when they are exposed to oxygen, they start producing oxides of that particular material. And if they start producing oxides, then that will lead to oxidation will lead to a corrosion type or rusting of that particular material. And similarly, when the corrosion is nothing but when it is exposed to water, nothing but the humid which is present in an ambient, because of that water and that particular material reaction, it will start rusting. So these are nothing but both of these corrosion as well as oxidation, when they come in contact with water, that is for corrosion, and when they come in contact with oxygen, that is oxidation, they produce oxides. These leads to reduction in the life of that particular material. So we should have a good resistance for this corrosion and oxidation. There are different methods which can be used for the materials, maybe coating those particular materials or making them alloy so that the reaction rate will be dropped down, but still the material should have a good resistance for corrosion, which is with respect to water, and oxidation, which is with respect to air. Now corrosion, where do we find? Suppose if there is a thrust augmenter like water methanol injection at the compressor stages, maybe before or after compressor stages, very sorry. Now during that time there is a high chance of having corrosion. So the material what we use for a compressor section or after compressor section, they should have a good corrosion resistance property. Next, melting point. Now why melting point is so important? Now let us understand. Suppose if we use for a compressor blade, if we use aluminum, what will happen? If we use aluminum, the compressor stages will reach somewhere temperature close to 600 to 800 Kelvin. Now at that particular temperature range, if we use aluminum, just aluminum, not alloy, just aluminum if we use, then definitely it is going to start or changing its shape because of that high temperature. So we cannot use aluminum there. Whereas if we use aluminum at the turbine section, then it's almost like it is definitely going to melt completely, because the turbine inlet temperature will be somewhere around 1500 Kelvin to 1800 Kelvin, depending on type of an engine. And suppose if we use aluminum in nozzle section with afterburner in that case, then we are not going to find any nozzle anymore, just because the temperature will be even more higher at the nozzle with afterburner section. So what actually we are talking about is the melting point of a material what we use. So the material what we use should have a higher melting point. if we have a higher melting point, then when it is exposed to such a large temperature zones, then it will not change its shape. It will not lose its designed shape. So for that, the melting point should be high enough. So that is about the next point. Then critical temperature. So in every component, there will be a temperature, or there will be a maximum limit for all the parameters, maybe temperature or pressure. Now, when we talk about temperature, the maximum limit given for a component, maybe a compressor or a turbine or a combustor. Now, it all depends on the fluid what we use. Suppose when we talk about combustor, now in combustor there is going to be a continuous combustion of maybe somewhere, let us consider JP5, okay, fuel JP5. Now if the JP5 is getting combusted maybe at equivalence ratio 0.5 or 0.6. Now during that particular equivalence ratio, the temperature may go up to somewhere around let us say 2000 Kelvin. Now at that particular temperature, we have chosen certain material, maybe nickel or some ceramic we have used. But if you change the fuel, then maybe with something else which can give a higher temperature, then the material is not designed to take that particular load, because there is some higher maximum temperature range, maximum limit for that particular material to take that particular temperature. So that is nothing but critical temperature. Means that is the maximum temperature what the material can sustain withstanding its design. Now, if we want to choose any material for such a component, maybe combustor or compressor or turbine. Now, keeping in our mind what might be the maximum temperature it may go up to, keeping that in mind, we need to select a material. That is nothing but critical temperature, the maximum temperature what we can get. And basically in an engine, the maximum temperature we can have at the turbine inlet temperature. That is the maximum temperature we can get. Now, what happens in combustor? Yes, we are going to get maximum temperature more than the turbine inlet, but continuously it is controlled by supplying the secondary and tertiary air to cool it down. Locally we are going to get maximum temperature, but when you look at for certain period of time, we are not going to have the same temperature there, which is exposed to the surface. Okay, so it will be diluted by that time. So we talk about turbine inlet temperature to be the critical temperature. Then thermal shock resistance, which means when a material is exposed to very high temperature, okay, or sudden release of temperature, then that leads to thermal shock, and the material should have a good resistance for such a sudden burning of that particular fuel or that particular zone. So these are nothing but criteria for selection of materials. We have started with strength, which is very important. The first most thing is strength, second is ductility for give proper machining, then coefficient of expansion for giving a proper tolerance for a given design or a component, then thermal conductivity, that is for continuous cooling purpose, then corrosion and oxidation to have a good life when they are exposed to water and oxygen or air, then melting point to have a good shape when it is exposed to high temperature, then critical temperature means if it reaches to its maximum temperature, if the design temperature is reached, then that is nothing but a critical temperature, then the material should be able to withstand that particular temperature. Then thermal shock resistance, if there is a sudden release of heat, then that leads to thermal shocks, and the material should have a good resistance for this. Now, there are many machining or metal working processes which can be used for a gas turbine engine. Now let us see one by one, as we already know the meaning of all this, but let us understand casting. Before they used to do casting for compressor section, compressor rotor as well as compressor stator stage, but now casting, if there is a problem like if there is a damage in any one blade, then they have to replace the complete set. So to avoid that, they are not following with the casting anymore for a compressor section, because if there is a damage with only one blade, instead of replacing a blade, they have to replace a complete set if they go with the casting. Then forging they use for some of the components, specifically the liner of a combustor, they go with forging. Then electrochemical machining, where removal by electrochemical process used for hard materials, difficult to machine, maybe titanium, aluminides, Inconel, nickel and cobalt. So those are nothing but the materials used at the turbine section as well as the combustor section. Then machining, which is done for almost all the components, machining is required. Then extrusion is a process used to create objects of a fixed cross-section profiles. A material is pushed through a die of desired cross-section. Now extrusion basically we can have for spools or the shaft which connects the turbine as well as the compressor. So extrusion will be done for that, and on top of that there will be a machining done to have a good surface finish. Then welding. Now for the cowling, majorly they go for welding. There are different types of welding again. So that it will be done for majorly for cowling, whereas they don't weld the blades with the hub for any turbo machine. They don't. Now pressing for sheet metals. So pressing is again for cowlings and all, which is for aluminium, steel. Then surface treatment, which is required for all the components of a gas turbine engine. Surface treatment is required. Then heat treatment. Heat treatment are basically required for a material which needs to have a good strength and also which are going to expose to high temperature. So good strength in the sense from shaft to turbine section as well as nozzle section. So all are heat treated. Then inspection, that is nothing but the next process. Once the metal working is done, then that has to be inspected, maybe for any flaws in that or proper surface finish or proper design, or if there is any crack. So for all these purposes there has to be a continuous inspection. So this is about metal working process. Next is heat ranges of metals. Now let us begin the heat ranges of metals for first one, aluminium alloy. So basically aluminium alloys, this is a very old data. Currently they are used in many other components as well. So aluminium alloy is used in centrifugal compressor wheel as well as housing. So aluminium alloys are basically used for centrifugal compressors. It's alloy, not just aluminium. And also they have used for cowlings. Next, what are the properties? It is used up to 260 degrees Celsius. If you look at the compressors now, they go up to 700 Kelvin, sometimes 800 Kelvin. So that particular temperature, this particular material will not hold. Okay. Whereas the cowling will not go up to that temperature, so we can use for cowling. Now, what is the advantages? It has a good, it has low density. So material has low density, so the weight will reduce, and also it has a good strength to weight ratio, which means if you compare the strength to weight, it is positive. It is having a good ratio between strength to weight, whereas having low density will make it lighter. So if the material is light, then the weight of the complete engine will drop down. If the engine weight drops down, then it will contribute towards the reduction in aircraft weight as well, and that will be very helpful. Then aluminium forging and casting. So aluminiums are forged and they can be casted as well. Now new aluminium alloy include lithium, which is about 10% lighter than conventional aluminum and 10% stiffer. Now we can have a more stiffness by adding lithium to aluminium alloys. Then 3 to 4 times improved fatigue and fracture strength. Now fatigue and fracture strength will also improve by adding lithium. So that is an advantage of having lithium in aluminium alloy. So which is of about 10%. Now next is titanium alloy. I am not going to cover all the components, all the materials what we use. There are very few very important materials which will be covered in this class. Now next is the titanium alloy, which is used for centrifugal flow rotors, axial flow, compressor wheels and blades. And titanium alloys are also used for turbines. So here they have used just centrifugal. They didn't mention whether it is a compressor or a turbine. So it is just for centrifugal flow rotors, axial flow compressors, wheels and blades. Now what are the properties of this particular material? It has a high strength. Compared to aluminum, it has a very high strength and also relatively low density. So it is suitable for application up to 540 degrees Celsius. So as I said, this is a old data. Currently with the the titanium alloy what we have, it can go up to 1000 Kelvin, 1000 or 1100 Kelvin. Now newer titanium alloys include titanium aluminide, which is good at higher temperature. That's the next alloy, titanium based alloy. Then titanium alloy with vanadium, aluminum, chromium, tin and molybdenum to improve its manufacturability. So titanium is hard material relative to aluminum, so manufacturing will be a little difficult if the design is very complex. So to have a good manufacturability, we can add this vanadium, aluminum, chromium, tin and molybdenum to it. So this is about titanium alloy. So please remember, somewhere around 1100 Kelvin we can have the titanium alloy can go up to. Then cobalt based alloy, basically used for afterburners, turbine vanes, that is nothing but the nozzle guide vanes and blades of turbines. So it can go up to temperature 1200 degrees Celsius to 1450 degrees Celsius. So that's a very high temperature it can sustain. Then if you look at the properties, it can have a high temperature, high strength, high corrosion resistance. Now compared to the previous two materials, titanium alloy and aluminum alloy, the temperature what it can sustain is very high, 1200 to 1450 degrees Celsius, and it can have high strength as well at that particular temperature with corrosion resistance, as they contain a small iron content which can be added based on the requirement. So there can be iron added to this one based on the requirement. Now these are the majorly three components which you need to have an idea when we speak about a gas turbine engine. There is one more nickel based alloy. You can take it as a homework. You study on your own about nickel based alloys. Next is high temperature strength. Now what exactly high temperature strength mean? So most highly stressed part can be seen in engines are turbine blades and its disc. Yes. Highly stressed in the sense the turbine blades will be rotating at very high RPM, that is the maximum RPM what it is going to rotate, whereas the compressor may or may not run at the same RPM because we may use a reduction gearbox, so or propeller as well. So the maximum RPM what we can have in turbine is very high, and if it is a high speed it will go up to 25,000 RPM to 30,000 RPM. Now at that particular speed, the centrifugal force acting on the blades as well as the disc of a turbine is large, and along with that there is a thermal load which is coming from the combustor. So the highly stressed component in a gas turbine engine, if that is a question, then that will be turbine section, specifically turbine blades and turbine disc. Now high temperature strength for this particular material need to be very high compared to any other component. Centrifugal force tending to break the disc as the square of speed. If you look at the centrifugal force equation, the force is directly proportional to square of the velocity. Means whatever the velocity we just got, the RPM somewhere around 25,000, let us say 25,000 RPM, if you try to convert that angular velocity into linear velocity, then that will be a large number, and that to square of that, so that will be equal to the centrifugal force which is acting on a disc which can break that particular disc. Then the blade must high bending loads applied by moving gas stream to produce the thousands of horsepower needed to drive the compressor. Now the blades what we use in a turbine, they must have high bending loads because continuously high temperature, high pressure gas is impinging on those turbine blades, and because of that there will be a large amount of bending loads, and that bending load is going to help the turbine to generate a large amount of horsepower. That thing, but the power output from the turbine will be very large. Then the creep strength is closely associated with ultimate tensile strength, means whatever strength we are looking for in a turbine blade with respect to the thermal load and mechanical load, the creep strength will be very close to the ultimate tensile strength, that is the maximum strength. If you look at the stress strain curve which you have done in mechanics of material lab for a given material, then if you look at the ultimate tensile strength, nothing but the maximum strength what it can go up to before it fails. Now the creep strength will be somewhere equal to that amount of load, that amount of stress. Then engine vibration and fatigue resistance will also have some influence on the selection of the materials which are useful for both disc and blades. Now engine vibrations and fatigue, which we haven't included so far, we just discussed for creep, whereas along with creep there will be a vibration, continuous vibration, because the component is rotary in nature. It is not static, it will be rotating at very high speed, so that will give certain vibrations. And also because of this rotation and the load acted by the fluid on the turbine blades, that leads to fatigue. So the material what we use should be good enough to resist that vibration as well as fatigue, along with creep. Then carbon, molybdenum, titanium, tungsten all have temperature about 2200 degrees Celsius. Now all these together they are going to have an alloy which can be which can resist or which can sustain up to temperature 2200 degrees Celsius. So this is nothing but high temperature strength, where we discussed on the creep, the centrifugal force, the vibrations as well as the fatigue acted on the turbine blades, blades and discs. Next, so I hope this is clear for everyone. See, this high temperature strength is nothing but the materials which are exposed to very high temperature, and what all type of strength they need to have. So here the first one is the centrifugal force will be acting, then along with the centrifugal force a thermal loads will be acting, bending loads will be acting, then there are vibrations, there is a fatigue. Now for all these failures or for all these type of failures, the material what we use should have a good strength. Now having that good strength and also exposed to high temperature, so that is nothing but high temperature strength. Now these are the materials which can be used, which will be used where the temperature go up to 2200 degrees Celsius. Next, resistance to oxidation and corrosion. So we just got to know what is oxidation and what is corrosion. Now these are the results of electrical and chemical reactions. So when we say electrical and chemical reactions, why specifically electrical reactions? Because continuous this spark ignition will be given inside the combustor, so the igniters will lead to the electrical reactions, whereas chemical reactions are between the material and oxygen or air and material and water. So that is about, these are the results of electrical and chemical reactions, that is oxidation and corrosion. The degree of oxidation is determined by the base alloy. The base alloy what is used, that decides the degree of reaction and the property of oxide coating form. So what exactly happens when the oxygen or the air comes in contact with that particular material, the reaction, the chemical reaction will begin and start forming that oxides of that particular material. So that oxides of particular material will be surrounding that particular material. So oxides are around that particular material, and that is going to reduce the life of that particular material. So this is what it means, the properties of oxide coating will form when it comes in contact with oxygen. Now to overcome from the oxidation, one of the best method is developing a ceramic coating, and it's called solarmic coating. So ceramic coating has to be done around that particular material. So once the ceramic coating is done, the formation of oxides around that particular material will be reduced, and due to which the resistance for oxidation will be there. Now that particular coating based on ceramic is called solarmic coating. The solarmic have two basic functions. First one, sealing the base metal against corrosion, oxidation and carbonization. Okay, and second one is insulating the base material. with high temperature. Now it also gives insulation, it also gives resistance for corrosion and oxidation. So that is the use of solarmic coating. So in the next class, we will begin with the surface finishing, next topic. So just to have a quick recap what all we covered today. So we had a discussion on how exactly we select a material, what are the selection criteria for a material, started with strength, ductility, coefficient of thermal expansion, thermal conductivity, corrosion and oxidation, melting point, critical temperature and thermal shock. So these are the basic 8 criteria which decides the selection of a material for any component of a gas turbine engine. Then the metal working process. The first one is casting. So basically they use this one for, a turbo machines, but because of if there is any failure they cannot replace that individual component, so they stop using casting for turbo machines now. Forging, we have electrochemical machining, then extrusion, welding, pressing for sheet metals, surface treatment, heat treatment. So these are the processes done on those component materials. Okay, so these are the metalworking processes. Then heat ranges. So we have just considered 3 different type of metals here. First one is aluminum alloy, which can go up to 260 degrees Celsius, which has a good strength. Then titanium alloy, used in centrifugal turbo machines, flow rotors, axial flow compressor wheels, which have the high strength and low density and compared to aluminum. Then we also discuss about cobalt based alloy. Nickel based alloy is a homework for you. You please try to find the details, properties and the components where the nickel based alloys are used. Then we also discuss about high temperature strength, that strength required for a material which are exposed to high temperature. Specifically we discussed on turbines, blades which are exposed to a high temperature and high loads. Then resistance to oxidation and corrosion. What is oxidation, what is corrosion we discussed, and how exactly we have a resistance for that. That is basically having a ceramic coating which is known as a solarmic coating, which will give 2 basic functions. First one is corrosion and oxidation resistance. Second one is thermal conductivity, insulation it is going to give. So in the next class we will begin with the surface finishing. Okay, I'll stop now. Thank you.